cosplay tutorial on how to make a faux fur vest with zero sewing and barely any cutting. First, you want to make sure you have some faux fur. I bought a 2-yard cut because I wanted something that would drag on the floor and be floor length. I got this at Joann's. It's about $20 to $25 a yard if you're using a coupon. So get your faux fur, and then we're on to step 2. Step 2 is measurements. Grab yourself your handy dandy measuring tape, and I recommend actually measuring your measuring tape to make sure it hasn't stretched out over time. So we need to measure our shoulder distance as well as shoulder depth. So I usually like having somebody help me with this, but it is something you can do by yourself. You find your end shoulder point, we are going across the back, finding our other end shoulder point, make sure you aren't twisted and twisted. So shoulder point to shoulder point, and you are going right off the edge and finding that distance. And mine is 16 inches across. I did have somebody check this for me, so it is something you can do by yourself. And then you also want to find your distance. So shoulder point, where you will have the drop, and then we're just going straight down. And you want to be a little, I like to start out slow with this, but get a general idea. I'm about 9 inches through here, so I'm going to start with 9 inches when I'm cutting, and if I need more, I can do more. All right, now we grab our faux fur, grab it from the short ends, and from here we're kind of deciding how much overhang we want. So wrap it around and decide how much you want hanging down, aka how much you want up on your neck. If you want it really tight through here, or if you want some extra Jon Snow-esque. So this is about kind of the look I was going for. So from this point, you just want to grab a pin. Excuse me. Now that I have my depth, and I am just gonna hold this and then run a pin through the wrong side. All right, we got our pin. Now, from here, we want to find our center. So find our center, and we want to find similar to the depth of our pin. And you can do this more technically, but it doesn't have to be crazy. You can see I already kind of found that center, the depth of my pin, and then we're going to mark that. You can mark it with a pen or chalk or marker. Hello, come join me on the floor. So now we have, you can see my depth marker and my middle. Doesn't really matter which one you go to. We're just using that as a guide. I'll probably make it a little bit lower so I can have a little bit more fold over. But from this point, you are going to be using your measurements. So you're going to take a measuring tool. Now, since mine was 16, I just need to do 8 inches on either side of this marker. And it's almost better to err on the side of a little bigger than too small. But either way, you want to try to fit this just right. So now I am marking here and at the 16. So you can see my cross points here. And then from here, since my depth was 9, I am going to mark 9 inches. And like I said, you may need to do a little more, a little less, depending on, or a little more, depending on your shoulder width. Okay. And it never hurts to make sure that we are even. I actually went a little off base with that, so my line didn't even up. This one's even, this one's not. I thought that looked off. So helps to make sure you're even. All right, there we go. Okay, so now that we have this, you are just going to take your X-Acto blade and simply cut a line right down the back. Now I'm not actually going to cut this one because I already cut this faux fur and I don't want more holes in it in case I'm going to reuse it. But I've got my cuts right here. And from this point, we're trying on. Ta-da! We've got my holes, we're going to try on. One more thing to note, make sure you're cutting your fur the direction you want it. So if you want your fur going downward, make sure you're cutting on the right edge. And here we go. Boom, super easy, super fast, and it gives a very dramatic effect. You can see this even hangs down to here. Now, you may want to cut some length off. I cut about 32, no, sorry, not 32, about 16 inches off of this, off of the back. And that's just done with the X-Acto knife and ripping, so that way you don't end up shedding faux fur all over anybody. And you can see no furs being pulled out through any of this because of the tearing. So there you go, happy cosplay.